I finished week 1 of The Artist's Way, recovering a sense of safety. So in the course of each week, you're required to read the chapter and also do 2 things that the author says are non-negotiable. They are crucial to your recovery and growth: morning pages and a weekly artist date. The morning pages are kind of like journaling. You have to wake up in the morning and then just whatever comes to mind, just start writing it down onto paper. Doesn't matter what you're writing down, just as long as you just keep writing until you get to, I think, 3 pages. I normally don't do that many, just because my art isn't writing, and I feel like it's really difficult for me to write 3 entire pages. I still think it's effective. Towards the end of the week, I had noticed that there were recurring things that kept popping up, like frustrations. And once I noticed those frustrations, I kind of thought to myself, okay, what action can I put to alleviate those frustrations? So I ended up making a small change to my life so that I wouldn't feel that way anymore. So I ended up resolving those frustrations by talking to the necessary people involved, and that was uncomfortable. Confrontation is not something that I'm good at, and it's something that in the past I would avoid at all costs. But I'm really proud of myself for doing that. It's not easy. And it really brought about, positive change, just that little thing that I did, that from my thoughts I made into reality. I'm also surprised that in just a week's time I was able to change something. I wasn't really expecting that. It really surprised me. The whole point of the morning pages is to release, thoughts that you're holding on to, and going inwards and figuring out what you want, what you need. And the artist dates are basically taking yourself out on a date. It sounds silly, but it's actually really nice. It's just, getting to know yourself better and taking care of yourself. It's setting aside time, specifically for creativity or, activities to help inspire. I've been using the extra time to just work on, projects that I've been struggling to finish. It felt really good to devote, time just for play and just for me. I can no longer say that I don't have time to make art and whatever self-care that I want to do. There's no excuses anymore. The very first thing that the author talks about in chapter 1 is shadow artists. The author goes over what makes an artist a shadow artist. And as I was reading through it, I quickly realized that I think I am one. I'm going to go over all the points that the author brings up, like that defines a shadow artist. Lack of support and encouragement from loved ones, peers, teachers. I will say, I learned years ago that you should be really aware of who you're sharing your hopes and dreams with. When you're sharing something really intimate like that, you hope for support from that person, and truth is, you don't always receive it. While most people mean well, they'll usually focus on how those hopes and dreams could fail and they're not even possible. They're unrealistic. Especially in terms for an artist, like wanting to make a living off of your art. People are just so cruel with that it's just so unrealistic, that you'll never make money, that the arts are only for hobbies, and that it's not a legitimate career path. Others, focus on the hardships of being an artist. And when you're sharing something, when you're sharing your dream, you just, all you need is support. That's all that you're looking for. And then people will just give unsolicited advice or just opinions. I think it's really important to have someone, a safe person to go to, who will not be so critical with you, but also honest. And I think that's really important as well. For me, that person is my best friend. They've always been my biggest cheerleader. No matter what piece of art I think isn't great, when I show it to them, they're like, this is amazing. And just having that, like, that source of validation it's so great. And also, if I ever ask them for advice, they're honest, but in a compassionate way. And for most people, they'll be more brutally honest, and there's a massive difference in that. And I really value that my best friend does that for me. People will say, don't listen to what other people have to say about something that you want to do with your life. And I understand that, and that's valid. But it's also really hard when you go to a loved one and they don't give you the support that you need. What your loved ones think and say to you is very impactful, and I think people forget about that. Okay, the next point is shadow artists tend to date or marry other artists who are actively pursuing their creative dream. I think it's just one of those things where you subconsciously will gravitate towards the very thing that you want to become. A few years back, I had dated a few artists, and in a weird way, it made me feel like a real artist just being associated with them. This was around the time when I just started feeling comfortable calling myself an artist, but I was still insecure about the whole thing. It was kind of like feeding off of their creative energy. And now I realize that I have my own creative energy. I don't need another person to make me more creative. I can tap into my own creative energy at any time. I don't need another person to do that for me. It's all within me. I do think having artist friends is a really beautiful thing, like inspiring each other through each other's creative forces. But the way I was going about it, like dating artists, I think it was just problematic overall. Shadow artists tend to pick shadow careers, and what that is something closely related to the art that you do, but not the art itself. I'm a fiber artist, and I work as a retail associate for a small business that sells fabric and yarn, needle crafts. It's a really cool job, and I've really enjoyed it throughout the years. I've made some awesome friends. But at the end of the day, it's not the art itself that I want to be doing, or the career path that I want to be doing. It's settling for a more logical job path, something that is more accepted by others. I remember when I first got that job, I was like, this is like my dream job. That's when I started putting my art and my personal endeavors just on the back burner, because, well, I have my dream job now. This job that I have, it involves making samples for the store. I make a lot of the knitting ones there, and sometimes I would take them home with me, and it ended up just eating up a lot of my free time that I would have liked to have been devoting to my own things, my shop. I really enjoy working for a small business. We were all, a very tight-knit group. My boss is super cool, and she treats us like family, and yeah, it was a very cool opportunity, and it was something that I couldn't pass up. But it isn't what I really want to be doing. Okay, shadow artists beat themselves up. Yeah, definitely. As a shadow artist, you'll give up really easily. You'll be very harsh towards early stages of your work, mad at yourself for just not pursuing what you really want to be doing. I still definitely have trouble with that, just being kind to myself. So yeah, that's a shadow artist, and I am one. Well, recovering shadow artist. In order to move from the realm of the shadows into the light of creativity, shadow artists must learn to take themselves seriously. With gentle, deliberate effort, they must nurture their artist child. Creativity is play, but for shadow artists, learning to allow themselves to play is hard work. The author talks about the artist child within you a lot, and that you really have to nurture this side of yourself. She says you must find and protect your artist child. I just think it's such a sweet concept that your artist is a child within yourself, and all it's looking for is to play and to be validated and supported. This is something that I really need to work on, being more gentle with myself and less judgmental. It's all easier said than done. It's really important to go slowly and gently with yourself while recovering a creative block. The goal is ultimately to heal past traumas, not create new ones. The ego wants to automatically be amazing at a thing that you're just learning. That's not how progress works. It's messy, it's non-linear. Mistakes are definitely going to happen, and bouncing back from the mistakes is really what's important. Overall, I think week 1 went really well. Things are going, and they're going well. I'm starting to feel a little bit more connected with myself, especially after doing the morning pages and the artist date. The artist dates, I think, are my favorite aspect. Right now I've been choosing to spend that time in my studio. My studio was always, my personal sanctuary, and somewhere down the line I just was not spending as much time in there anymore. I want to create that again for myself, like my studio being a safe place for me to go to at any time. But yeah, that's it for week 1. It was a short chapter, and I was actually thankful for that it wasn't like information overload, and it was easy to process. Thank you for watching and being here with me on my journey to recover my artist. See you in my next video.